Okay. So we have completed the listed setups, and these are the setups due to complete from payable side. So create payment process profile. To process the payment process profile, we have to create. So while processing the payments, without payment process profile, we cannot process the payments. Let's see how to create the payment process profile. Search for payment process profile. Search for payment process profiles. Click on go to task icon and click on create. Name is Alt INC payment process profile. Alt INC payment process profile and select payment file format. So whatever the format we selected at the time of bank account, the same we have to select. That is standard check. Okay, select standard check format and the processing type, select as a printed or whatever the how you are processing the payments. And within this, we have a rule section. Under rules, you can see different rules. When you process the payment, what rule should be applicable? You want to use this payment process profile to process any payment method or specific payment methods only. If you want to use it for specific, you can select. You want to use this only for check payments, you can select check. You want to use for multiple payment methods, you can select whatever you require, or else keep it as all. You will be able to use this payment process profile to process the payments for any payment method. Disbursement bank account, nothing but internal bank account. In the last session, whatever the bank account we created as our organization bank account, that is nothing but disbursement bank account. So if you want to use this payment process profile to process specific bank account related payments, if you want to make the payments from specific bank account, that you can specify. You may select your bank account, or else this can be used with any bank account. Okay. So this is how you can select. The same way business unit currency is all you can select as a criteria. Yeah, let's keep it as a very open and just click on save and close. So that's how you can create the payment process profile, which is mandatory to process the payments. Now we are going to assign AP seeded roles. Oracle provided roles we are going to assign to the user. What are the roles? AP seeded roles. Fine. So we'll go and assign the same, we'll capture in the spreadsheet for our future reference. Okay. So go to security console, tools, security console. Okay. Go to security console. Go to users, find our user, open, click on the username or display name to open the user definition, click on edit, click on add role. So we have three roles for payables application which are seeded. Okay, we have three roles for payables application which are seeded. Say accounts, let's type accounts It is just picking the low speed. Just wait. Accounts. Okay. Select accounts payable manager role. Select accounts payable manager role. Always you prefer to choose which is starting with ORA. Select. Add role membership. Click on done. And assign few more roles. We'll capture that name. Taking time to fetch what we are typing. Wait for a moment. So already we assigned accounts payable manager. Now assign supervisor role. Accounts payable supervisor. Select, assign, capture the same for our reference. And one more role is specialist role. Accounts payable specialist. Specialist, assign, copy. Okay, done. Save and close. Next task is assign business unit to AP roles. Assign business unit to AP roles. Click on done. Go to task called as data access for users. Go to task called as data access for users. Task list, search, data access for users. Manage data access for users. Click on create. Select user, role. Okay, you just select one by one. Accounts payable, manager role, business unit. Security contest is business unit. The business unit name is Alt INC US business unit. Click on add. Select user. Select role. Okay, accounts payable specialist. I think we didn't save supervisor. Yep, we didn't save supervisor. It's fine, we'll add it. We copied and we forgot to save it. Meantime, you can assign business unit to accounts payable specialist role. Save and close. One more role we have to assign. The role name is accounts payable supervisor. Here is the accounts payable supervisor role assigned. Yeah. Now to this role also, we have to assign. 1 second, let me close this from here. Done. Save and close. Assign business unit to supervisor role. Alt I and C is the username. The role name is accounts payable supervisor. It's not invoice supervisor. No, right? No. Accounts payable. Wait for a moment. This is all we need. So remove this. Okay. Just supervisor. Cancel this. Click on create to assign BU to supervisor role. Accounts payable supervisor. Select BU name. Save and close. Done. Yeah. So we just completed these two setups. Now submit LDAP for role synchronization. From here you can submit, or else you can go to schedule process page. From there also we can submit. Submit from here. Say okay. The roles will get synchronized. After synchronization, we need to open the payables periods to record the transactions. So within the navigator, you should be able to see payables once the roles are synchronized. Okay. We don't see anything. Right. So better we can sign out and sign in. It takes time to get synchronized. So meantime, you may sign out and sign in so that immediately you can see that payables within the navigator. Alt I and C. Fine. Go to navigator. So within the navigator, here is the payables, expand payables, and we can see payables dashboard, invoices, payments. Now our task is opening periods and the payables. Click on invoices task. Click on invoices task. Okay. Here, go to task list. Okay, go to task list. Here is the task to create the invoice. can click on create invoice. It will navigate us to invoice creation page so that we can provide invoice information and we can follow the process to complete the invoice various steps. Okay, when you go to invoice creation page, we have to provide the relevant data and there are certain actions which we have to perform. That's how we can create the invoice. Now to create invoice, we have to understand few points here. So invoice structure, okay, invoice structure consists of, let me write. Okay, what is the invoice structure? So invoice structure consists of invoice header information, invoice header, invoice lines, invoice distributions. Okay, invoice distributions. Invoice structure. What is the structure of invoice? Invoice header, invoice lines, invoice distributions. Invoice distributions. So header level you provide the invoices belongs to which business unit, which is supplier. Let me write very high level. You provide BU supplier details. Line level you provide, in fact, header level you provide amount, payment terms, and many other attributes also we provide. We'll see that. Invoice line level, we provide line amount and distribution or distribution set, anything. Distribution or distribution set. Okay. Invoice distribution means it's a reality invoice lines distribution. For each line, you can have a distribution. Okay, here you can see accounts as per distribution or distribution set plus amount. Okay, so this is a structure of invoice. Okay, this is structure of invoice, invoice header, invoice lines, invoice line distributions. After creating invoice, we have to process point of view, we have to validate the invoice. Okay, we have to validate the invoice. And when you validate, primarily system will check invoice header amount, line amount, and line distribution amount is matching or not. First, we'll have check all the levels amount is matching or not. Before that, system will verify all the required fields are provided or not. If you are entering invoice in different currency, it will look for the rates availability also, that will understand very soon. And few other points also it will look into holds will come across. Now we can discuss, but it would be like unknown content for us. So for now, take the point, whenever you submit the invoice for validation, it will verify all the fields for the required fields, data is provided or not. And invoice header amount, line distribution amount, these three levels amount is matching or not. If everything is fine, system will allow us to validate the invoice. Then you can account it. You can create accounting entry, or you can say accounting. So we validate the invoice and we account the invoice, and we can process for payment. So when you validate the invoice, yes, you can directly make the payment also. Based on the due date, you can process the payment. Accounting is not mandatory to process the payment. Accounting is mandatory, okay, to transfer this invoice information to GL in the form of journal. By creating accounting, we can transfer this invoice related accounting information to GL in the form of journal. That is the purpose of accounting. We can create accounting entries, which is debit, which is credit, system will automate. This information can be transferred to GL. So without creating accounting also, you can process the payment for invoice. Okay, validate account and payment. If approvals required, yes, we set approvals that will go through as a part of our classes. So these are the different actions we have to perform after creating the invoice and holds. Many other points are aligned. Slowly we'll come across one by one. Fine. Here, so, fresh. And I'll walk through the different topics what we are going to see as a part of payables application. Okay. Okay. So, and just before we walk through those topics, we'll open the period so that those system will allow us to create the invoices. So already roles are synchronized. Okay. So here we are in the invoice related page. What is the navigation? Payables. From the navigator, if you expand payables, you can see the different tasks. These all three we call as a tasks. Click on invoice as task. It will take us to invoice workbench. Okay, invoice workbench. This page we call as invoice workbench. You can see in the title. Invoice workbench, or you can call as invoice work area. Invoice work area or invoice workbench. So we want to open the periods, okay, for our business unit. Within this business unit, specific business unit, if you want to open the periods, how system will open for our BU. The business unit is assigned to primary ledger. Now, if you want to record the transactions for this business unit, we have to open the periods at primary ledger level for payables application. If 10 BUs are assigned to same primary ledger, yes, at a time, system will update the status for those 10 BUs period as open. So we call as we open the periods for BU, but reality the control at primary ledger level. Okay. So we are going to open the periods for payables application at primary ledger level. When you open the periods for payables at primary ledger level, that allows us to record the transactions with all the payables BUs which are assigned to the same primary ledger. We'll see that point so that we can understand. So once you navigate to this page, click on task list. And here is the task called as payables periods. Okay, payables periods. Click on manage accounting periods. Task name is manage accounting periods. Here we are opening the periods for payables. Okay, we are opening the periods. We are opening accounting periods for payables application. And we have to select the ledger. To the same ledger, how many business units are assigned? For all business units, system will allow to record the transactions. We can open the periods for specific primary ledger for particular application. We'll see that. Scroll little down. Look for our primary ledger. Okay, here is our primary ledger. If you place the cursor on our primary ledger, we can notice how many business units are assigned to this primary ledger. Now, if you are going to open the periods for this primary ledger for payables application, for all those BUs, the period status system will update automatically. The same will be applicable. Now click on Alt INC US Business Unit, Alt INC US Primary Ledger for payables application. to open the periods for all the BUs which are associated. Reality, we are not opening at BU level. Ledger level, we are opening for a specific application. The same will be applicable for associated BUs. Select first period. Select John. Say OK. As per our accounting calendar, Jan 23 is the first period. Say yes. Yes, we want to open John as a first period. Just hit this refresh icon. Yeah, take some time. Refresh, it will update the status of first period. The first period status is open. Now go to actions, select open target period to open the current period. Select current period. Say open S. Refresh. Done. We open December period. Now system will allow us to create the transactions within the payables application since period is open. Just you can say done. And these are the topics which we are going to handle from payable side. I'll just walk through very high level. Here you just no need to understand very detailed level. Just high level walkthrough. I'll just throw some line for each and every topic. When we start working, we'll discuss more detail level. Okay. So standard invoice. When you get invoice from the supplier, that we record in the system as a standard invoice. PO or receipt based invoice creation P2P. That means when you create invoice in the payables, so based on the PO we create invoice, or based on the PO and receipt we create invoice in the payables, that we call as PO based or receipt based invoice, that we will understand from the P2P cycle. And invoice creation via spreadsheet. Yes, invoices we can create through spreadsheet. That process we call as ADFDI. We'll discuss what does it mean by ADFDI. Just as a note, you can take as a understand. You don't need to write all these points. When we are working, we can make a note. And debit or credit memos for any amount corrections we use. When we will discuss more detail level for corrections. Say you created invoice, you want to reduce certain amount. With the different business reasons, we use debit or credit memo, we'll discuss. And create payment, okay, based on the due date, if you want to process the amount, like we use the function called as payment function. And pay group, for to process the payments to the suppliers, we can group the invoices or suppliers. Okay, pay group means for payment purpose, we can group the invoices or altogether suppliers also. There we use the pay group concept. And payment process request. To automate the payment process, we use the payment process request. Instead of selecting invoice to make the payment, we can automate the process. Which invoices systems need to select, we can give certain criteria. Based on the criteria rules, system can select invoices and it can automate the process. Prepayment invoice. Prepayment invoice means if you want to give the advance to supplier, that we can record in the system with prepayment invoice. And withholding tax. Withholding tax means when you are making the payment to supplier, tax amount we hold. We don't pay tax amount to the supplier and we hold the tax amount. Remaining amount will pay to the supplier. Tax amount will pay to the tax authority. In which business case we'll discuss more detail level. Bills payable. Nothing but issuing future dated checks. If you want to issue future dated checks, we use the bills payables concept. Pay alone. Okay. Just I am trying to introduce, I'm not trying to complete this concept with my explanation. We'll pick one by one. There we will discuss more detail. Okay. So pay alone, because these all items are going to be in front of us for a few days, right? That is the reason just I want to give you some basic high level understanding. That is the reason I'm just reading on purpose. So pay alone. Pay alone means, say you want to pay one invoice by using one check. That you want to set as a rule. By using one check, you can process the payment for multiple invoices, but you want to create the business rule in the system. For each invoice, you have to issue separate check. To achieve that, we use the pay alone concept. And foreign currency invoice and payment. Invoices you can create in the different currency, as well as you can process the payment, that we will see as a part of foreign currency invoice and payment. Supplier merge, you can merge one supplier with another supplier. Okay, so you have a supplier A, supplier B. A you want to merge with B. That means all the invoices and payments, whatever we have with A, all will be copied to supplier B. What is the business case and all we'll discuss. Interest invoice. If you are making the late payments to suppliers, supplier may charge the interest. So that is a case where we use interest invoice concept. Okay, with interest amount, system will create interest invoice. So recurring invoice. If you have a business requirement where you create the invoices periodically, take electricity bill. Every month you have to pay electricity bill and utility bills. Every month we have to pay. So what are the invoices we have to create periodically? For that we can use this functionality. We will see in the system more detail level. Third party payments. Ideally we have to pay amount to our supplier. Sometimes our supplier may inform us to send the payment to another party. Instead of making the payment to supplier, if you are sending the payment to any other party, that we call as third party payments. Cross currency payments. We create invoice in one currency, we process the payment in another currency, that we call as cross currency payments. Invoice holds and releases. For various reasons, you can place hold on the invoice. You can place the hold. If you place the hold on the invoice cannot be selected for payment. And supplier refund. When you give advance to supplier, sometimes supplier may refund that amount. Say you give an advance and utilize 90%, remaining 10% is left with the supplier. You are not going to purchase anything from the supplier. Supplier may refund that amount, that we call as supplier refund. Aging periods. To find out the outstanding transactions, outstanding invoices, we can use the aging period. Okay, aging periods we can use to find out the outstanding invoices. Custom roles. So far, what are the roles we have seen? Like application implementation consultant, IT security manager, or it could be GL roles or AP roles. These all are seeded roles. We'll see how to create the custom roles. Okay, we'll see how to create the custom roles. We'll see how to copy the roles, how to modify, how to create the roles from the scratch. We will see. Invoice approvals. Here we will understand how to set the approvals for invoice. You are creating invoice. Once invoice is created, it would be available for payment. So before that, if you want to put a check, every invoice which is created in the system, that should be approved by authorized person or by manager. Those rules you can set by using the invoice approvals. We'll see how to set up invoice approvals, how that approval routing takes place. And file-based data import process for supplier conversion. As a part of implementation, we need to load the suppliers into our system. From the client system, whatever the system they are using before moving to Fusion applications, that system we call as legacy system. Say a client is using application called as, say, Microsoft application. Okay, so like you can say, like, or else you can say client is using some Focus or Wings, or any, you take any third party application. So if client is using Microsoft Navision or any other application, if they're moving to Fusion application in the current system, what are the suppliers they have, all the suppliers they need in the Fusion applications. So for that, we have to get the data from the client and we have to load into the system. So that we will understand by using this file-based data import process. Okay, how we can move data from legacy to Fusion applications that we call as conversions, data conversions. It could be any data. Suppliers data we call as master data. So along with loading suppliers data, we load open invoice also. Open invoice are nothing but unpaid invoices. Okay. For paid invoices, we don't have direct solution. Only we load unpaid invoices. So we load unpaid invoices. So we get all the unpaid invoices from their current system that we load into Fusion applications. So these two comes under data conversions. Data conversions means moving the data from legacy system to Fusion applications that we call as data conversion. This activity we do in every project as a part of implementation. As a part of implementation, we do this activity. Multiple steps are involved. We'll discuss and we'll work on it. And creating accounting entries and transferring to general ledger. Okay. So what are the invoices and payments we are going to create in the payables application for all the transactions? We'll see how to create accounting entries and how that information can be transferred to GL for reporting purpose. Here we are going to see at a time how to create accounting and how to transfer to GL. And payables to general ledger reconciliation. So as per payables, whatever the balances we have, the same balances are reflecting in the GL or not. Say you created an invoice with a 1 lakh. If you create accounting and if you transfer that information to GL, even GL also 1 lakh should be available. So we cross check between the payables and GL application that we call as reconciliation. We cross check as per payables how much balance we have, as per GL how much balance we have. Whatever we are creating in the payables, we are sending to GL. It should match. If it is not matching, we'll find out the reasons. We'll work on it. Everything we have to discuss more detail level we'll see in the system. But just I'm trying to provide very high level overview. Payables period close. Just now we opened the periods after recording the transactions. End of the period, we need to close the period. Simply we are able to open the period, right? With one click, we are able to open the periods. But when you talk about closing the period, we have to perform multiple activities. System won't allow if anything is pending. Okay. We'll discuss and see in the system. And I'll take you through how from where you can write SQL queries. Okay. If you know SQL queries, from where to write, we'll see that if somebody are not aware of Oracle SQL queries, you may spend at least 1-2 hours in the YouTube. Okay, you can go and search Oracle basic SQL queries or else select statements. Oracle SQL select statements. You may spend 1 or 2 hours and you can learn. That would be useful for you. Okay, but not very much mandatory. Sometimes there may be need of writing SQL query to view the data directly from the backend instead of viewing the data from front end. Certain columns, certain attributes you cannot see from front end. So in those cases, it will help you. But I'll show you from where to write SQL query. So that is aligned with the BI reporting. But our target is understanding from where we can write SQL query. And we'll see how to create the OTBA reports. BA reports means business intelligence. That is not our task. The reports need to be developed by technical consultant. Okay, but we should aware like from where to write SQL query. If you want to understand writing SQL query, if you want to learn how to write SQL queries, spend 1 or 2 hours in YouTube by searching with the keyword called as Oracle SQL select statements. Oracle SQL select statements. And OTBA, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. These reports we can create as a functional consultant without writing any coding. No SQL is required. Directly you can just drag and drop and you can create. Invoice image solution. We can create invoices based on the scanned images. Okay. If you get any scanned image from the supplier, That scanned image you can submit on specific email ID to mailbox, and based on that, system can create invoice automatically in the payables application. And payment formats. At the time of bank account creation and payment process profile, we selected standard check format. The reality in every implementation, the template need to be customized by technical consultant. By using the same template, we have to create the format. How to create the format, we'll see. The security profile and or MOAC. MOAC stands for multi-org access control. So this is related to EBS. I just added this point to compare this functionality with EBS, how we have in the Fusion, how it is there in the EBS, just to correlate. And subledger accounting. At the time of primary ledger creation, we selected accounting method as standard accrual. Okay, we will have a deep dive into this subledger accounting to understand what we have inside of it. Very high level we discussed within the SLA, subledger accounting or accounting method, we have accounting rules which will decide. So for which transaction, what accounting entry need to be generated. We'll open that and we'll review that subledger accounting definition, and we'll see if at all we want to modify SLA, how to modify. We'll go through all these points. Okay. So these are the items which we are going to learn from the payables application. Okay. So these are the items we are going to learn from the payables application. Now we'll go one by one. Okay. Here nothing, just I'm not expecting you should understand. Just I want to give you what is the purpose of that concept. And once we pick, we will discuss more detail level and we will complete that item. Okay. So otherwise, all that items will stand in front of us where we don't know what is the meaning of it. That it isn't just I'm providing very high level walkthrough. Okay. So if you want to create invoice, you can click on create invoice. And a few other points we have to understand here. So as per our setups, okay, as per our setups, how many business units our user can access? How many business units our user can access to record the transactions? Anyone, please?
Based on data access provided to the user.
As per our setups, I'm asking.
One.
Only one, right?
Assigned to.
Only one.
Okay.
We assign only one business unit to our user related roles. For our user related roles, we assigned only one business unit. But system will allow us to have access to all the business units which are available in the environment, the system. Why? So along with the AP roles, we assign application implementation consultant role. Okay, application implementation consultant role will have a full privileges to have access to any business unit. Okay, any business unit will be able to access. Ideally, we should be able to access to only one. Okay, we'll see the same point. Just wait for a moment. What we'll do is we'll create one more user and we'll assign AP roles. Maybe 3 roles or just 1 role for our testing purpose. And to that role, we'll assign specific business unit, and how system is going to respond, we'll see. Okay, seems to the instance is a little slow today. Fine. Go to navigator. Second. So we are going to create one more user. Okay. So for this user, already we assigned application implementation consultant role. Now we are going to create one more user. Let me try from the different browser. Fine. So let's create one more user to understand that user is going to access to how many business units. It's running slow today. Go to tools, security console. So we want to create one more user. Reality, we create separate users. Which user need access to which application? Accordingly, we have to provide the role access. Now the current user, whatever we are using for implementation purpose. So implementation purpose, if you use any user, we need access to application implementation consultant role. If you assign application implementation consultant role to any user, so we'll be able to access to all the BUs, but just how to get access to specific BU, how to give the access to specific BU, this we want to understand. So let's create separate user to test this function. Running very slow. Please bear with me for today. Fine. Select user. Click on add user account. Say AP or ILC. Only we want to give access to AP application. Okay, the user is going to work for payables department. We want to allow that user to have access to accounts payables only, plus the access to specific business unit. Okay, access to specific business unit. So click on add role, assign any one of the role. So I want to any one of the role in the sense any one of the role which is belongs to payables application. So we have three roles. Out of three, any one of the role you can assign. Accounts, payable, second, it's not taking. So accounts payable specialist role I want to assign. I want to assign accounts payable specialist role. Select, click on add, click on done, set password. Save and close.
We are not able to hear your voice.
Oh, sorry. I think it went on mute automatically. Sorry for that. So it's clear, right? We created user, we assigned the role, and we provided BU access to that user. Is it clear, or you want me to repeat that? Anyone, please?
It's clear, Lakshman.
So clear, right?
Yeah.
See, what we are trying to understand is, for our RTINC user, we assigned implementation related roles, GL roles, payables role, all payables roles, all GL roles, and implementation related roles. Because of implementation roles, exactly application implementation consultant role, that user can have access to any business unit. We assigned only one BU for that user related AP roles, but all BUs this user will be able to access. So reason application implementation consultant role. Reality, when we assign specific BU to one user, that user will be able to access to only that role, since that user is going to work as a business user. Okay, business users who are working on the system to record the transaction, they don't need access to application implementation consultant. Okay, that is handled by consultant only. We created a user called as AP/INC. We assigned a single role, that is accounts payable specialist. If you want to assign remaining two roles also, you can assign, which are related to payables, and assign specific BU to the same user roles. And now submit role synchronization, LDAP job. Click on run user and role synchronization task. It will trigger LDAP job. Submit. And say okay. Done. Once synchronization is complete, okay, so we'll be able to see that. We will try from the different browser. So you just log into the instance as a AP user. We created a user as a, 1 second. I have a little challenge today with instance. So click on username, sign out. Now log into the instance as a AP/INC user. Just wait for a moment. Fine. So no worries. So we are ready with all the setups and we open the periods also. And just for our understanding purpose, we created another user called as AP Art-INC. For this user, we assigned only payables application access. And we assigned one business unit. The same we did like our Art-INC user. We assigned only one BU, but that user can have access to all the business units. That first we'll compare that. What is the difference between these two users? Then we'll proceed with the transaction creation. Okay. Here, if you go to Navigator, okay, AP Art-INC user. If you go to Navigator, here also go to Navigator. The Art-INC user, we assigned 3 AP roles. 3 AP roles. For our other user, AP Art-INC, we assigned only one role. So accordingly, the user will be able to access to relevant tasks. It is running very, very slow. No issues. So this part we'll see tomorrow. Okay, we are ready with all the setups. Also, we created one more user called as AP Art-INC. This will compare in the tomorrow session and we'll start with the transaction part tomorrow. These are the topics we are going to cover. I thrown some light on each and every topic. What does it mean? But we'll discuss in more detailed level once we pick the specific item to execute in the system. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm stopping here for today since the instance is running very slow. Maybe they might be doing some maintenance activity. Now we cannot keep hitting it when it is running very slow. So in the tomorrow session, we'll see, okay, the invoice creation and we'll pick one by one item and we'll discuss. If any additional setups are required, we'll do the additional setups in the system. For a few concepts, additional setups are not required. The straightforward, we can execute that concept in the system. So as a part of the various concepts in the payables application. Okay, I'm stopping here. In tomorrow session, we'll start working on the payable related concepts.